Okay.
It's a talent development center.
And they gave the National Cathedral
2.6 million Ghana cedi
advance
loan for 7 days or 8 days.
at what interest?
Interest free.
Maybe let's start with that story. Maybe let's start with that story.
So I'm just telling the GRA that
They should go there.
they should make. There's money there.
Yeah, I need loan.
So front page of the daily guide, GRA aims high.
Okay.
High. Yes, I want them to get closer to this high.
Bigger every day.
Government hot over debt exchange.
right.
Court refuses to halt coup plotters trial. Very, very sad story coming from the Ashanti region. I think the IGP was there yesterday. Fire kills cop family. Such a lovely looking family, Charlie. Sergeant Owusu Asante Befi. Rest in peace. Utility tariffs go up. Yeah, yesterday happened.
Charlie. Our eyes red. Now, the Ghanaian Times says government extends domestic debt exchange deadline to build consensus. Bernard told us yesterday, and it has happened. Also, we are told minority calls for broader consultation on domestic debt exchange program. Bolga Regional Hospital appeals for dialysis center. Now, I don't know. Haruna's photograph is close to that. I don't know. But that is for the minority side or for the hospital side.
The picture is on way.
Yeah, it's on way.
I think they've misallocated
misallocation.
The picture. Okay.
Okay. Front page of the Daily Graphic goes with the tariff story. That's their big story. And then there's a warning, danger ahead, 41,000 tons gold for oil, fuel, land. Kujota Blackwa petitions charge to investigate Reverend Kwesi Boateng. That's in line with the whole JNS Kabudo. And then 56 vessels grounded for using poor fishing gear.
All right.
Okay. Let me take you to the Chronicle. Cocoa farmers shoot down Al Jazeera report on alleged child labor. Say it was staged, managed for the cameras. Also, Ghana's oil curse, the expatriate factor. We're also told this morning, PRCU has been explaining why tariffs for utilities have been...
PURC.
PURC. What did I say?
You said PRCU.
Oh, Charlie.
But we know what you are trying to say. No.
Charlie, the problems have been getting bigger every day.
just calm down.
Just calm down.
Calm down.
Yeah, calm down.
Yes, take it one day at a time.
Yes, it'll be good.
Yes.
I like that.
Yeah.
Also, suspend debt exchange program according to the minority and a consultant.
All right.
I'll take you finally to the front page and the back page of the Graphic Business. On the front page of the Graphic Business, on the domestic debt exchange program, banks suffer 65 billion Ghana cedi losses. And I think they've put the CEO of every bank in this country on the front page of the Graphic Business this morning, if I'm not mistaken. Cedi under pressure, debt exchange uncertainty bites hard, inflation to gallop this month. And the Graphic Business...
Is it not galloping already?
Is it to gallop more?
But do you know that there was a time in Ghana inflation was over 100%?
Charlie.
That
You didn't get there.
We are 55.
One more story for you, Bernard, on the back page of the Graphic Business. Premier League clubs sweat over spectators as financial burden bites.
Is this Ghana or...
Yes, this is Ghana.
People are not going?
Yes.
Yeah, the thing is not exciting and people don't have money. So if you combine those...
Maybe they should do free gate. So we get the taste again.
Also, if you go to the New Crusading Guide, there's a story here talking about the National Cathedral Secretariat sets record straight, and this is regarding the 2.6 million loan received from the JNS, but this particular matter has become a quicksand, and the man is sinking, it appears. Also, we are told government constructs more housing units for police, according to the Deputy Minister for Lands.
Let me give you a few more stories that you don't have in the main news. UG students stranded over new residential policy. There are some very worrying photos on citynewsroom.com. Now, on the oil for gold deal or gold for oil, Ghana takes delivery of first 40,000 metric tons, and then the government is saying that there's enough gold to exchange for oil. This is the Bank of Ghana. Meanwhile, in the same breath, the Bank of Ghana is blaming pressure on the economy for cedi depreciation. So the central bank is in focus there. Now, security issues. One person shot in Buipe after youth besieged Damango police station, and then some banks risk collapsing over debt exchanges, the minority speaking on citynewsroom.com. My job online is also leading with the debt exchange. January 31 date will not be met, or deadline will not be met, according to Theo Champong. Meanwhile, pensioner bondholders forum threatened to picket at Finance Ministry over debt exchange, and government should adopt principle of burden sharing. This is Dr. Mark Esibe Yaboa.
Okay.
I'll take you to the BBC. Malawi schools reopen after deadly cholera outbreaks. Yesterday we reported abduction of 50 women in northern Burkina Faso. Very troubling times indeed in that country. Citybusinessnews.com. NCA approves transfer of majority shares in Vodafone Ghana to Telecel. That's a new development there. And then we are told, of course, debt exchange extended for the third time. Let's get into the details.
Okay, debt exchange, and all its attendant stories. So I will start from the graphic business. Banks suffer 65 billion Ghana cedi in losses. That story is on page 6 of the graphic business, and according to the story by Boahene Asamoah, banks' exposure to the ongoing debt restructuring exercise.
Is he back writing? I know he left for a while.
He's back.
Okay.
He's come with a big story.
That's good.
Banks' exposure to the ongoing debt restructuring exercise is estimated to be well over 65 billion Ghana cedis, even though government says it has made available a 15 billion Ghana cedi fund to ensure financial sector stability. Banks' expected credit losses, ECL, on existing bonds and treasury bills alone will hit 15 billion Ghana cedis on account of the debt exchange program. Analysis of the bank's books have revealed. In addition, the total banking losses before tax is also expected to reach 14.5 billion Ghana cedis. Liquidity gap, which is the difference between the bank's assets as against its liabilities, that is expected to be in excess of 20 billion Ghana cedis. All the 23 banks also face additional capital requirements of about 16 billion Ghana cedis. So then some further analysis is done on this matter. And it says that data available to graphic business also indicate that if the current accounting treatment as recommended by the Institute of Chartered Bankers were to apply to the books of banks in the country, 17 banks will have capital adequacy ratio of less than 10%. Per Bank of Ghana rule book, all banks must have a minimum of 10% adequacy ratios. 9 other banks will have negative net owned funds. This means the sum of paid up equity capital, free reserves, and securities premium accounts reduced by accumulated losses and book value of intangible assets will be in the red. Analysts believe the above factors may impair the financial position of domestic institutions to such a degree that financial stability will be threatened and put pressure on banks to recapitalize.
The minority is asking for a suspension of the exchange program.
Exactly.
Some analysts are saying the January 31 deadline will not be met. I'm sure there are a few more stories
Okay,
there.
so let me take you quickly to page 20 of the Ghanaian Times. Government extends domestic debt exchange deadline to build consensus. The story says the government has extended the deadline for the debt exchange program to Tuesday, January 31, 2023 to enable it build consensus for the program. The Ministry of Finance in a tweet yesterday said building consensus was key to a successful economic recovery for Ghana. Can you imagine? You waited for this long to now be talking about this. Also, the ministry in a press statement said, quote, the government has restructured the domestic debt exchange program as a voluntary exercise in order to shield domestic bondholders. We will, however, use this period to further engage with stakeholders, especially individual bondholders, to mitigate any adverse impacts while we all contribute to overcoming our economic challenges, unquote. Now, if you go to the story regarding the minority, that story is on page 4 of the Ghanaian Times, and it says minority calls for broader consultation on debt exchange program, and Julius Yao Petechi writing says that the minority caucus in Parliament has called on the government to indefinitely suspend the debt exchange program and broadly consult stakeholders. Now, the caucus leader, Haruna Idrisi, told journalists in Accra yesterday that it was in the interest of the government to consult wider and get the program over the line if it was to secure an IMF bailout. And the government was forced to suspend the program, which was scheduled to commence yesterday for the second time to January 31, as I told you much.
Let me run you through a couple of other related stories, Bernard. On page 25, sovereign bondholders are calling for negotiations. That's page 25 of the Daily Graphic. And retirees who hold sovereign bonds have called on the government to use the extension period for the domestic debt exchange program to conduct in-depth negotiation with local bondholders. They organized a press conference addressed by Edu Anani Mchi. He's the convener of Pensioners Bondholders Forum.
Meanwhile, the Ghana Security Industry Association has sent out a press statement where they are also saying they welcome the announcement of the extension. They've still not agreed, and they're basically hoping that within the period some agreement will be reached. Now let's move away from that.
There's so many other stories. The economy is really in the news this morning, so please allow me two other stories. The cedi is under pressure.
Yes.
Debt exchange uncertainty bites hard. That's on page 3 of the graphic business. There's growing concern among financial experts and analysts that the cedi might wobble again as it begins to slide against the major trading currency, the dollar. The fear has been heightened because while the central bank has pegged the cedi to dollar at a weekly average of 9 Ghana cedis over the past week, ending January 13, the forex bureaus, however, are trading link the dollar by an extra 3 Ghana cedis on top of the BOG rate at 12 Ghana cedis to $1. A major concern is the uncertainty surrounding the government's debt exchange and restructuring program, which many believe may delay IMF funding. And then inflation also to gallop this month, according to Charles Benonyokai, and the reverse benchmark values and increased VAT are among the causes.
Meanwhile, the Bank of Ghana says there's enough gold for the gold for oil exchange. I'll just read brief portions of that. This is citinewsroom.com. The Bank of Ghana says it has sufficient quantities of gold reserves to sustain the gold for oil policy. Now, the government took delivery of the first consignment of gold for oil deal on Monday as part of efforts to reduce fuel prices and reserve the country's forex, I think they wanted to say. Many have, however, raised concern about the government's ability to sustain the policy. Now, appearing before the Public Accounts Committee, Director of Financial Markets at the Bank of Ghana, Stephen Opata, says the central bank is well positioned to meet the demand of 160,000 ounces of gold per month under the transaction.
Let's stay with the matter of gold, because on page 4 of the Anchor newspaper, there's a story there. PMMC begins bulk purchase of gold to support Gold for Oil initiative. Now, the story says the Precious Mineral Marketing Company has commenced the processes necessary to secure adequate quantities of gold in support of government's Gold for Oil initiative. Now, according to the National institution, management has begun setting up offices in selected mining regions, first of which has already been established in Kumasi in the Ashanti region to buy, quote-unquote, all gold from small-scale miners, including the community mining scheme and others. And it goes on to give you details in a press statement that is published here. But there's a bad news that's coming in for those of us who are paying electricity and water bills, but maybe good news for the utility companies. If you go to page 5 of the same newspaper, Gifty Arthur reporting says that despite a fairly stable cedi, the Public Utilities Regulatory Commission has announced increments in utility tariffs beginning February 1, 2023, in spite of rising economic hardships facing many of our citizens. Now, the state-owned regulator in a statement said the end user tariff for electricity has been increased by 29.96%, while that of water has also seen an upward adjustment by some 8.3%. This is really going to bite.
Well, they've been discussing this at least for the past 3 months, so this was not unexpected.
Yeah, but it's bad news at a time when we are all struggling to even pay, basic fees and all of that. Charlie, it's not good.
Yeah, I wanted to give you a quick one before Godfred comes in. 2 security stories. One person shot dead in Buipe after a youth besieged Damongo police station. There was also some clashes in Jamestown yesterday, and we have both stories on citinewsroom.com. So one person was shot dead after the youth in the area massed up at Damongo police station, demanding the release of 8 people arrested for allegedly burning houses belonging to Fulanis. The arrest came after a call by Buipewura Abdullah Jinapor II to the police to arrest the perpetrators. Now, the youth of the town, led by the Gonjaland Youth Association, have been protesting the enskinment of a Fulani